Hey there, Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and a new shaker card video. I have been sharing this past week different circle shaped cards that are also shakers, and this is another one that features a new released product from Trinity Stamps. So here on the left you'll see the circle shaped card die set. On the right is the holiday wreath add-on, which allows you to turn this circle shaped card into a holiday wreath. It is such a pretty die set. I'm in love with it. I'm going to show you how I made the shaker card, and then at the end I'm going to show you an additional card that I've already made. So there's the circle shaped card I cut from green cardstock, and we'll set that aside and work on the wreath. I am going to create my own custom paper for cutting my wreath from. I thought I wanted to do some ink smooshing. I've been just in love with ink smooshing lately, and so that's how this started out, but it's not how it's going to end up. Not at all. I'll show you most of the process in this video. Some parts are spread out or sped up, and also if you like custom backgrounds but maybe don't like making them yourself, I do have them available as printables for those people who are members of my channel. I love making them. It's like one of my favorite things. So membership to my channel is very reasonably priced, and you can find the information on that in the description box below this video and see if it's something that you'd be interested in. I recently did another background for my circle shaped card that was a sunshine. That paper is also available for my members to print out, and I am actually going to end up printing this out myself and using my printed out version because I like keeping the original. It like makes me less fearful to actually cut it. So I love having that printable version. And with a printable, you have the option to kind of play with the brightness, the darkness, the shadows, those kinds of things. And so that makes it even more customizable. So yeah. Okay, so I'm just doing a lot of sprays here, Distress Oxide sprays in particular, and I thought mixing some yellows with some of the Salvage Patina would be really cool to create a green. It wasn't as cool as I thought. I wasn't loving it, but I just kept going, which is one of my mottos, but I really kept going with this one. So much so that you're really not even going to see any of this original ink smooshed background. Not at all. That's because I decided to bring in some paint. And what I originally did with the paint, I didn't love. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll go ahead and like try to do some pine bows with this. And yeah, this is where it really went off into a different direction. So I'm using a really scraggly brush here, and I'm just having fun. And that's what I like about creating my own backgrounds. I'm not, stamping a specific image and coloring it with certain colors. I'm really just having fun and just playing with mediums, whether it be sprays or inks or paint. So I'm just bringing in a lot of color here. I figured once I put down this dark green, I could go back and add some detail to it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going for that kind of pine bow look that a wreath might be made out of. So that's the first layer, and I'm doing this with a very dry brush. I want those kind of brush marks to show up. They kind of remind me of pine needles. So you'll see that I'm not adding any water here, and I'm really just going for that scratchy brush look. So now I'm bringing in a much lighter color, and I am going to layer this over the top and just brighten it up a little bit. I also have a scraggly dry brush for this, but in a different size, and I was really liking how this was turning out. I thought this was really fun, very cool, and I was just playing, and this is my motto: if this sucks. Sorry if that's too much, but if it does, it's just paper, and I had fun doing it. And maybe I don't end up using it for today's project. Maybe I would end up using it for something else, but I enjoyed doing it. There were a few points where I was like, what is going on? What is this? Like when I added the darker color, which I did a whole bunch of paint mixing over there on the left, and then it kind of started to look like a different kind of plant that was not a pine tree. So I'm like, okay, let's make this a snowy, branchy look. So now I'm going back over it with that scraggly brush and white paint, and I was really liking this look, so I decided to keep going. I did the whole thing. And this is the paper I'm going to end up with. So on the right, you'll see the photocopied or scanned in and printed out version. And then on the left is the original. So I'm going to work with that printed out version. I'm going to cut my wreath pieces from this. So I can move my die around and figure out where I kind of like that, you know, the area or the look the best. Now with this most solid wreath piece, I'm actually going to take the layering die and I'm going to cut into that, and that's going to give me 2 rings. But I'm also going to need like a base piece for those to sit on to be the background of my shaker. So I'm going to cut this again. So here you'll see I have the 2 rings. The piece that the die actually is cutting out that you're intended to use, I'm going to save that. I'm not using that for this project. And then I have the most solid layer. So normally you would layer up the piece I saved with this one, but I want to create a shaker, so I need those 2 rings. The last piece I'm cutting to create my shaker is the window sheet, and I didn't want to have to worry about like lining my pieces up exactly with this, but I know it's near the right size that I need. So I'm just going to cut off the like scraggly edge and also the scraggly middle part, and then I have a piece I know is going to fit for my wreath rings, we're going to call them. So there we have it. So before I put my shaker together, I decided I wanted to add a little bit of shading to the edge of my die cut. So I'm using Rustic Wilderness Distress ink and my shading Sidekick brush. These are new brushes from Trinity Stamps. I've been using them a lot. I love adding color to my die cuts. So these brushes have been fabulous. They're so soft and so fluffy. I really enjoy them. Now, you know, I don't like to waste that ink on my mat, so I'm going to give just a little bit of splatter. I do have one area that's quite bright white, so I think the splatter is really going to add to that and, you know, kind of bringing in the original element of splatter that I covered up with my paint. Okay, so back to those wreath rings. I'm doing the largest one around the outside of my window sheet, and then the smaller one will go on the inside, which will kind of cover up that hole there in the middle. So I'm just gluing these down. I find that liquid glue, especially the Barely Art glue, which is my favorite, actually works really well for adhering your pieces to a window sheet. So I like it. All right, then to create the shaker, we need lift and we need to make sure that the ends of our foam tape are going to touch on all sides. That way the little shaker bits cannot escape. So I needed an outer lift of foam tape and an inner lift. So the shaker elements are going to be trapped, but I still have that hole in the middle, which is very, you know, the look you want for a wreath. And then I'm filling this up with some confetti from Trinity Stamps. This is a mix that comes red and green. I didn't mix this myself, so I really like it. I thought it was like the ornaments that might be on a wreath. So I filled that up. It kind of looks like a lot here, but once you lift up the shaker and everything kind of collects together, it's not that much. You could have filled this up way more if you wanted to. I also add liquid glue because I'm all about good adhesion. Also, I don't want anything to come apart later. You could line this up perfectly with the one that's already there, but I kind of like the idea of offsetting it so you can see more of the like a farther away look of the wreath that's underneath. So I was having fun with this. I thought it was so cute. All right, I have my green card base, but I wasn't really loving that you could see the green through the middle. I thought maybe I would add in something different there, so I'll come back to that. I kind of had to think about it and what I would want. So while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to create the bow. There are 4 dies for this. I've die cut all the pieces, and I want to add some of the little bits of greenery that also come with this die set to my bow. I love these little tiny baby sprigs of pine branches. So I'm going to add those. I'm going to add 3 to the top and 3 to the bottom. So I did 2 of the larger, 2 of the smaller, and I kind of try not to put them on exactly perfect because, you know, a wreath on, let's say, your front door, things are going to move, and so I kind of like a little bit of an organic look to this. And on my second card that I'm just showing you, I'm not demonstrating how I made it. on that card, you'll see how I use these little foliage pieces in a different way that really accent that wreath so beautifully. All right, so I've got those on the back. Now I'm going to pop up the 2 layers of my bow. So the top one is lifted up, but I'm using thin foam squares, and so it's not too bulky. This card's already bulky because it's a shaker, but I really liked some dimension for my bow. So thin foam squares for the win. All right, so now I'm adding the tails to the bow, which, by the way, you could have those so they curve in. That also looks really cute for this bow. I'm adding now the berries to my holly. Now, my berries are the exact same red color as my bow, but I'm going to add some glossy accents to these berries in a minute that will help them stand out from the actual bow itself. So that's a good way to bring berries to life anyway, right? Okay, so there's my bow. It is so cute. I'm going to add a little bit of shading to this with an R39 Copic marker. When I add shading to red cardstock, I feel like you've got to go pretty dark because red will just eat up other reds. So you got to go really dark for it to show up. And I think it just helps bring it to life a little bit. I will add some foam squares to the back and pop this up onto my wreath card. I'm already going to need extra postage for this guy, but let's be honest, I don't often send a lot of cards. And if I have a thick card like this and I am going to give it, it's something that I might hand deliver. It might go with a gift. So if you have a really fat card, maybe that's the better way to do it. Or if you're mailing a package, it could go in the package also. Okay, so you can see I added a little bit of wood grain paper on the inside there. So maybe it looks more like this is hanging on a door. And I love that. But what I didn't love was the white foam that you could see all around the edge. So I'm going to take care of that in a minute, but also I wanted to show you this die, which die cuts out little decorations for your wreath. So I die cut them from some glittered craft foam in red and decorated that a little bit more and added a little bit of, sparkle to the wreath, which I thought it really needed. And it was just like the perfect touch for this. I love these, and I use them on my second card too in like a metallic cardstock that looks so good. All right, so I brought in my G28 Copic marker, and I'm going to color the foam and the back side of my wreath. So you have more green there, and it's kind of a little bit darker than what I needed, but I didn't want to go lighter. So it really made all the difference. And I actually need to do the same thing once I looked at the pictures I took with the inside ring of foam. So I'll get to that eventually, but I'm going to go ahead and add the glossy accents to those berries, and it just brings them to life. Okay, this other stamp I'm so excited about. It's called Flourished Christmas. It is gorgeous, and it is made to fit inside the circle-shaped card. Of course, you can use it for other things, but I love that it's just a standalone stamp. It's so reasonably priced. It's so beautiful, and you could use it on a lot of things, especially if you like to make big cards. Of course, this will fit inside an A2, but think how pretty this would look in an arched card, how pretty it would look in a 5x7. So good. I'm going to die cut this out, and I will tell you about the die set I'm using towards the end of the video because I think it's a little bit of a must-have for your circle-shaped cards. I don't know if y'all are into the circle-shaped cards from Trinity like I am, but I'll get back to that. I did share it on one of my other videos too. So here's that ring and one of the solid pieces. I would totally save these, ink up the edges, and make a whole nother wreath with that. So gorgeous. Okay, this is the other die set. It's the UFO Hello, but this circle is just a hair smaller than the circle shape card. I love it for full panel shakers with the large circle shaker pouch like I showed you with my snowman circle shape card. I'll link that video at the end of this one. And then the smaller circle in there is great for filling up that hole, which is what I did with that door paper, the wood grain. Okay, this is my other card. Oh, I had so much fun making this. I used a lot of mica spray stains on my wreath layers, and in between the two layers, I put all that foliage. And can you see the ornaments on there with that metallic paper? So good. And I added some baubles, and I decorated my bow. Just a really beautiful die set. So If you haven't checked it out, I have it linked for you below, and I have the Trinity Stamps shop linked for you below. So you can check it out if you haven't seen it yet. I think it's a gorgeous, gorgeous die set, and you could use it for lots of other holidays as well. So play with it, have fun with it. If you have questions about the circle-shaped card, let me know, because there are tons of add-ons for this. So I have one more circle-shaped card that I'll be sharing from their latest release, because they had the Snowman Parts add-on, the Holiday Wreath add-on, and a Snow Globe add-on. So I'll be sharing that Snow Globe add-on with you fairly soon. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you all again very soon with a new video with my creation from Craft Roulette that's so cheesy. I can't wait to show it to you. I'll see you on that video. Happy stamping. Bye.